What's up, Orcamaniacs, and welcome to Dubl Drbl episode 23. Today's episode is entitled Coast to Coast. And the reason for that is, we get these random reunion shows here and there. And we got another one today, which was kind of cool. He actually volunteered himself, which I thought was pretty awesome. Last time we talked to him, he was in, I think, Pennsylvania or something like that. We'll get back to Virginia, or it was. I'm not sure. It was in East Coast. We had some issues, so we brought him back. We're going to see how his move went. We're going to see what he's been up to. I'm talking about one of the guards on the Oxnard Orcas, our dude, Marquis Rivera. What's up, Marquis?
Going on, guys? Going on, organization. Thank you guys for having me back up here, man. Finally settled in on the West Coast, and I'm just feeling like a little bit more involved. So just glad to be here, and glad you guys are having me on today.
Yeah, no problem, man. It's so awesome to have you here. We appreciate it. And the fact that you volunteered yourself was even cooler. With me, as always, we got our panel. We got to my side, we got Doc Shireen Toscano. The Doc's in the house. What's up, Doc? Over here to my other side, we got my dude GA, my co-host GA. He's a little illuminated again, but not as bad. We got the owner below us as well, Ferran WDC Dozier. Below me, we got the Charles Barkley of the show. Here comes Mr. George Ochola. And we got to have the man who gives us all the advice. We got the coach, Don Wayrick, down there. What's up, coach? Just came back from a beach volleyball game, he said. So he's all cleaned up, ready to go. All right, let's have some fun, you guys. Marquis, welcome back. Dude, last time we had you, it was like 4 months ago, 4 months ago. So a lot has happened since then. If you could possibly, for the people who haven't seen you or heard the last show that you were on, could you possibly just give us a little background about yourself, maybe childhood up to, if you can get up to now, that'd be great. Just highlights here and there. And then maybe we'll talk about the move a little bit, and then we'll bounce off of things, go here and there, and see where we go. It's all yours.
Sure. So I'm originally from Connecticut, born and raised Connecticut, from Britain to be exact. Basketball family. Picked up the ball very early. Never looked back really. Basketball has taken me a lot of places. I've traveled a lot. Thankful for the basketball taking me places, but I'm very rooted with my roots, and I'm very family oriented, and so the last time we spoke, I was back in Connecticut I think it was during the pandemic. It was like right
at the beginning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like right at the beginning when we had our last kind of conversation, and just a little rundown of me. Yeah, man. Basically, what I could just say is that a kid from humble beginnings. Basically, wanted to make a transition somewhere and kind of take a chance on myself. I feel like my principles are intact. I feel like during COVID, it gave me a good time being back home for a while. That was like the longest. I actually was at home in my hometown for an extended period of time. So it kind of allowed me to put everything in perspective as far as just what I wanted for myself, what I came from. I got to be exactly where I came from, and I hadn't been around that long since I was a kid. So when I was a kid, it was like I loved it. It was all I wanted. You know what I'm saying? I was so much about my community and my city. Like I loved everything about being from a small city from the East Coast. Heavy tri-state influence. So we got a heavy New York influence. Got Boston right above us. So we got like two major markets that are heavily influenced. So it's kind of, believe it or not, like in the urban areas, it's very culture rich, very urban culture rich. So I kind of was kind of like, I would say, you're a product of your environment. So it's like I kind of loved being that until I got out of it and kind of got to see what else the world has to offer. So me coming to school on the West Coast is kind of what initially planted that seed and keep that interest, and then being there for that amount of time kind of showed me that it was time for me to kind of make this jump this way. So that's where we are today. Basketball has kind of taken me many places. I got to experience being in pro training camps overseas twice already, so I got a taste of what the pro level was like, and the demands of that day in and day out, and the level of basketball you have to be at and where your body has to be to play. So I just felt like basketball-wise and for the future of myself and what else, I'm more than a basketball player, but I just felt like basketball-wise and the other things around me that I'm good at, I felt like I could flourish in a bigger place where there was more opportunity. And I loved LA and I loved the West Coast, so it kind of just made sense kind of from where I came from and what my interests are and what I kind of want to achieve moving forward to kind of take the jump and get here.
So you always had a love for the West Coast, but you were living on the East Coast, so you chased that West Coast dream, and here you are. You know, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. It was like being an East Coast kid. All you got is the movies. You know what I'm saying? Like all you see is what's on the movie. So usually movies is kind of like glammed up good stuff, and you know they kind of are, but the difference was with LA, it's kind of like what you see is what you get. You know what I'm saying? Like what you see, what you got to see and thought it was, it kind of is. So I call it the land of opportunity. And I just felt like anybody who has certain goals or has the mental toughness to kind of be straightforward to achieve certain things, it could be a great place for anybody.
Yeah, absolutely. Is it just you over here right now, or do you have a wife, kid, family with you? What's going on with that?
Man, that was one of the biggest things for me. Looking at it, that kind of made me make the jump was that it is just me.
Wow.
I'm fortunate enough for God to have me in a position where I can get up and move and chase a dream and chase a vision at any point in time without having to deal with any outside responsibility. Not that I'm not responsible. I don't feel responsible for obviously other people's well-being, but directly like a wife or a child. I don't have that single dude and still feel like I got like my entire prime ahead of me in everything. So I felt like it was just a great time.
Awesome. Couple things if I can. I think that's amazing, like that you're taking advantage and that you understand that you have that sort of freedom to just grind and not have to like really worry about more so the emotions of a significant other or somebody else that you would have to take care of, right? Because that emotional time away in a couple of different ways, you know, just like taking you out of like that warrior mindset and shifting back and forth. So that's amazing that you can have that kind of focus. Also, I want to like give you props for coming, instead of like having that mindset of being a big fish in a small pond, like you're coming out here being a small fish in a bigger pond, and you're having that mindset of there's just so much more opportunity out here, because you know there's a lot of cats that are like, oh no, I'm the shit, I'm like it out here, you know, and they go somewhere else and they're nobody, and they have to like build all of that all over again. And some people don't want to take that risk and don't want to do that. So I see it happen all the time in the entertainment industry, you know, and that really takes, like what you said, that mental toughness. And Fran is all about that mental toughness, you know. So that's really cool to see that in you, because that's huge and that speaks volumes about your character and about your work ethic. So that's awesome.
Thanks. I appreciate that. And kind of piggyback off of what you said, I like to, it's even in my bio on Instagram, I like to call it tunnel vision. Like, I like to think that I have an ability. I kind of feel like it can be something that's self-taught with discipline. So it's like, I call it tunnel vision. So to me, it's like if you can allow yourself to lock in and focus on just accomplishing the next goal, I feel like that's the three things that are the biggest with that with me was, I feel like people try to see an entire vision and then try to attack the whole vision rather than take it goal by goal, step by step. And that's what I mean by tunnel vision. It's like you got to be tunnel vision on the next obstacle at hand. You can't look at the big picture, because if you look at it like that, it's like, well, man, it's 1,000 obstacles I'm going to have to get to where I want to be. Rather than look at it as, if I attack this one obstacle, I'm on to the next obstacle, meaning you could just focus your energy on literally kind of attacking that one at a time type of thing. And it kind of like subconsciously builds that in your character and in you as a person to just take things one step at a time with how things are being dealt your way. So that was kind of big for me with realizing that. And I also, like you said, people kind of scared to take that chance. I like to put things into phrases, because when I phrase things, I can kind of say it in my mind, and it kind of is an instant click for me. So like the tunnel vision is a way of kind of compressing everything you just said. And with people being scared, I kind of compress that into fear of the unknown. I feel like people are scared of what they don't know. And I feel like life is all about trial and error. You're never going to know, or you're never going to get better at something if you don't at least try it and fail and learn from what you did wrong to do it correctly. You know what I'm saying? I feel like life is all about lessons and learning. So you can't be scared to take a jump if you have the fortune or if you have the situation to take certain jumps. I feel like you can't be scared of the unknown because you don't know what's on the other side. Yeah, it could be bad. Yeah, it could be good, but it's up to you to go there to figure out and navigate if it becomes a good or bad experience.
And that's really awesome too, because that shows that you are kind of like more on the logical side. You know, there's a whole spectrum, logical, emotional, and there's everybody in between, right? So I don't know if anybody's ever like said like you're kind of like robotic in a way, or you know, but having like different players in the whole game that have that different spectrum. So there's the people who are just like task oriented, which is I'm sure what you are, like very task oriented. You want to check this off and you want to do this next task, and that's going to take you to that dream. And then there's people who are dreamers and they see like the vision and they go for it. But the fact that you don't tie your emotion, because you're talking about it's okay to fail because that's just taking you one step closer to your dream or whatever, you know, like the fact that you don't tie that emotion towards your goal is going to take you further because you're not going to get set back within yourself. So that's really cool. And that's something that you can teach to other people too, because having that structure, sometimes for the dreamers, it's really hard to have that structure. How do I get to that goal? How do I get to this dream? And then it becomes overwhelming, right? So somebody like you can come in and set that structure to help people reach their goals. Have you ever like thought about doing something like that as a career, like when you're done with basketball, like mentoring people?
Absolutely. Honestly, my dream for after basketball is I want to be I think I want to be a coach. I really want to teach. I really understand how you can teach kids life through basketball and how you can help kids like me who came from less fortunate situations. But basketball was an escape for me. Going to the gym was like therapy, no matter what type of situation. If I was at home and I wasn't happy at home, I was sad about something, or just anything, basketball was always like a getaway from me. So I just feel like when you're in that type of euphoric type of state where it's like nothing can harm you, nothing can bother you, it just makes you feel good. I feel like that's when kids, and when they're in those states, are most susceptible to attain knowledge and attain whatever it is that they're around, because they're kind of vulnerable, because they're in that state of like, I don't have to worry about anything, and I can just come here and just be me and just have fun. And like if you have the right people in place to mentor kids in those type of states, it can kind of set the foundation for character traits and things moving forward that as young men and women are going to see in the world. And I just feel like if the right people are in place with that vision in mind, rather than just teach a game to a bunch of kids, because that's just what it is to you, I feel like it's a tool that you can teach so much through. So it's kind of been my goal to like, I think I want to just get into coaching at a certain level, and really, I want to start young. I got 2 nephews. That's kind of what sparked it. I got a 3-year-old nephew, and I have a 1-year-old nephew. So I call them my backcourt. That's what I call them. So that kind of was like my little difference. Yeah, man, I kind of want to start with them from the ground up and just take kids along as I go. You know what I'm saying? I want to be that kind of guy that helps the kids that need that guidance. Because I got to see it on every level. I got to see basketball in its pure innocence as a child in a, I don't want to say poverty-stricken, but in an underprivileged community. I got to see what basketball can be in that type of sense, being an outlet. I got to see what basketball is like at the college level, and I got to see what a taste of it kind of at the pro level. So it's like I got to connect with certain people at every single level that kind of showed me that no matter what walk of life you come from, you can come from the worst of the worst situation. And if you got the right principles and morals in place, it can take you so far in life. And a lot of these guys that I've met, they kind of accredit it, if it's not a father, they kind of always accredit it to like a coach. Like, nah, there was this one guy, you know, and he's seen more in me than just basketball. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's seen the person I could be other than just basketball. And it's kind of like, I feel like that's such a rewarding feeling, seeing a kid that nobody kind of thinks can do something and kind of help them bring it to fruition and make dreams come true. So.
It's funny you say that because I'm a quote guy, and I saw a quote on your Instagram. It said, "Love what you do and do what you love." It seems like you're very passionate, but like Doc said, you're very mental at the same time, you know, and that's a great combination. You're talking about helping kids escape, especially right now. It's especially when we come back from this pandemic and we start having teens again, and they're going to need that escape. You know, they've been stuck with their parents for 9 months, whatever it is. You know, it's been insane. But the point is, a lot of kids are going through a lot of things that you don't even know until either they tell you or you notice it as a coach. Like, I coached Little League myself, and I heard some things and saw some things. I've worked in schools. I've heard things that I can't unhear. But the fact that you want to coach, I think that's awesome that you have those 3 levels of experience, because you could tell them, okay, when I was in little league or Pee Wee, this is what happened. Then you go to college and this is what you should expect. Not just, hey, just shoot for your dreams and nothing's going to happen. No, you're going to tell them this could happen, this could happen. And I think that's the mental part of you. And I think that's awesome. But coach, I want to come to you real quick, because we always come to you whenever we hear a player who wants to be a coach. What advice can you give our man Marquis?
I don't think he really needs advice. That's my dog going crazy. But I don't think he really needs advice, because what he was saying is just right on point, that he has a heart for the kids and he just needs to stick to that. And when things get tough or when there's a game going on, that you always go back to what the mission and the purpose of it behind it. And as long as that stays the course, you're good to go.
What do you think about that, Marquis?
I appreciate it, for one, coming from a guy who's such a well-respected coach by men, boys of all ages. So it's refreshing to hear from a guy like that I'm on the right track, because, like you said, I am an emotional guy. I'm rest in peace to my father. I'm kind of just like my dad, where heart on my sleeve type of guy, real fiery competitor. I don't want to confuse that, like, just because I kind of can see things clearly, like I'm still a heart on my sleeve type of guy. I'm still a very fiery competitor, but I just reached a point to where my dad always tried to teach me that basketball and life is more mental than physical. So I kind of reached a point where I was able to balance the two and not let one dictate the other. And it's kind of put me in a great spot, in a spot that I've never been in really. And I'm glad to be in it, to where I don't wear my heart on my sleeve too much, and I can still do everything with a lot of fire and intent, but I can manage that and I can channel that into the task at hand, rather than let it just spew and just show everywhere. So
you say you want to channel the fire. I'll get you right now. You channel the fire. Are you talking more on the court? Are you talking about when you're coaching? Are you talking about in life in general, or all of the above?
All of the above. That's kind of being an East Coast guy, being a blacktop kind of kid. You know what I'm saying? You know how the New York kind of basketball scene is blacktop, dog eat dog, sink or swim type of basketball. So you kind of always kind of have to have that type of chip on your shoulder and that intensity. So as I kind of developed and matured as a basketball player, that kind of just became who I was, to kind of always have this chip on my shoulder. I've always been an underdog. You know, when growing up, I wasn't always the best kid on my team. I wasn't always the second best kid on my team in people's eyes. Third best kid maybe. So I always was an underdog. My pops is my step pops, my pops is a coach, so I kind of learned the game through that lens of a coach. I was kind of taught the game by a coach. So that kind of my natural mind state, is how I approach things in general. That's why I kind of have a natural kind of, I feel like, gravitation towards being a coach and understanding what's going on. Because even to this day, like, my dad will take kids down at the park and teach him how to do a left hand layup correctly, or just because that's what he loves to do. He doesn't even coach him.
Mm-hmm.
So just that influence and being able to balance now, not just taking everything so personal in basketball. I used to take everything real personal being the underdog. I didn't used to feel respected, and I wasn't confident. I was very humble. I was supposed to be very humble, and my humble nature started to get in the way of my confidence and in my life of myself. And I understood then, like, everything is balanced. Like, you can be humble, but you also have to understand you are a great basketball player. Once I got to that balance, that's kind of where everything else in my life started to, like, balance itself out to, like, even playing field.
GA, you had something.
Hey, Mark. Yeah, I wanted to jump in real quick. It sounds like you got your head straight, man. Everything that you're saying, everything that you've been doing is great. I just want to ask you a few questions. I know earlier you mentioned how the whole pandemic kind of set you back, and you were at home for a bit. I wanted to ask you, being at home, did you like just really think to yourself, set yourself some goals, and if you did, what were they? And also the second question is, now being back on the West Coast, have you linked up with any of the guys of the team?
So to answer the second part, I actually was able to sneak into a run out here maybe last week, and I actually was able to run into Buddha. Got to play against Buddha for a couple hours. I don't think I realized that he was on the team and I was on the team at the time. I just remembered Buddha from college. I played against him in college. He was at the I played against him, and it was a great game. Kind of real high scoring, good show. But it was kind of one of my favorite memories from playing back on the West Coast with that game. It was just a good night. It was a great game, and everybody kind of battled, and that's when I kind of first knew about him. And then it hit me after the session that Buddha was on the team, but I did get to kind of see him a little bit and just kind of see just from hearing him in the interviews and kind of seeing his energy as a person, good guy. Just like you said, just want to hoop, just loves the hoop. Like, that's the kind of energy I got from him. He was out there having fun, drama free. It was a good time for getting my first session out there for sure.
Sounds like fun. You guys had fun.
Yeah. What was the first part of the question again?
The first question was during the pandemic. Well, I mean, we're still in the pandemic, but like when you were back at home, did you have a chance to like really kick back and think like on goals that you want to set for yourself?
Absolutely, man. That's what got me here. That's what got me back on the West Coast, was using that time prospectively. And I kind of used that time. I understood what was going on. Like, that was the first time in our lifetimes that the world actually came to basically a complete stop, almost like, you know, the whole world was shut down. So it forced you to embrace sitting down, relaxing, and letting certain things play out, right? So during that time, I got very observant of my surroundings and what was going on around me, and that's what kind of led me to start seeing things kind of move and seeing how certain things were playing out. Like, okay, it's time for me to kind of make a decision, to make a move, and I've let certain doors open up, I've let certain doors close, and I let it kind of navigate me to where I am, and that's kind of what got me even here, was sitting back during the pandemic and just being observant and not rushing things and taking things one step at a time. You know, taking things one step at a time and just letting things play out. So I did that, plus a little bit of game planning, obviously, a little bit of brainstorming and writing down certain things I wanted to get done. I started to attack those one by one, check them off, and as I started to do it, I started to gain confidence in that and trusting that process and understanding that the goals have to be kind of one at a time. That's what kind of, the pandemic is kind of what helped me emphasize my tunnel vision kind of mindset. Was during that, I kind of had no choice but to slow down, take things one day at a time, one thing at a time, and knock them down. And as I did that, I started to see myself, position myself to get me where I'm at now. So it was definitely good for me.
Definitely. Hey, Marquis, before I let you go, what player kind of motivates you, bro? Because it sounds like you have like a mama mentality, bro. Just the way you carry yourself, you know.
It's crazy you say that. Growing up on the East Coast, it was, you know, during Kobe's early years, Kobe, let's call him Kobe during that time. During Kobe's era with Shaq, it was kind of, if you was a West Coast guy, you was Kobe, right? If you was an East Coast guy, you was Iverson, right? Or T-Mac or something, right? Or Vince Carter, right? So me, when I was young, I didn't like understanding and being able to like players for like things other than basketball till I got to a certain age, right? So when I was young, I just loved the game and I loved everybody. But as I got older, he's definitely a guy that when you sit down and watch an interview, like you're locked in. Like if it's 5 minutes, if it's 30 minutes, if it's 15 minutes, Kobe's a guy that you're not looking around or worrying about. Kobe's talking, you're listening. So lately, as I've gotten older, Kobe's a guy that I've realized mentally how really special he was. But a lot of it really, it just comes from my dad, man. Like he really drilled into my head that like mental toughness is the way to survive. Like you have to be mentally tough because it's required in every situation in life, no matter what's coming at you. And some people get it early and some people don't. It's like Kobe was a guy that was gifted with mental, like with that kind of kick, like from day one. And that's like a real special trait. That's like generational talent trait, you know what I'm saying? Like a guy like that, a guy like LeBron, where they're like the first guy in and the last guy out, and all you hear about them is like they're just the professional's profession. Like that's not a coincidence. Like these dudes are just wired like that, man. Like they've always been that way, and you can teach yourself it. It's not an easy thing to do, but like you're saying, man, it's basically required. I feel like to kind of be able to achieve certain things and overachieve, so to speak, in certain ways. So he's definitely a guy that I definitely watch and now really listen to as I'm older.
Definitely, Marquis. Thank you for answering my questions. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Ferran, he sounds like an ideal Ferran guy. He's mental toughness, community, thinks with his head and his heart. What did you see in this cat, man?
Marquis and I are no strangers. I had the opportunity to be a part of the LABC basketball league. And Fredo and I were doing play-by-play and video and the players and interviewing the players. And I saw Marquis, and I was like, that. I think he dunked on. It's on the Instagram. That dude took off and dunked on somebody. I was like, that's a good dude. So just interviewing him and talking to him back then in like 2017. And he and I connected. And he's been chasing that hoop dream. So, every time that I was asking about, hey, anybody looking for players or whatever, I did my best to try to connect him with people to play and stuff. Mm-hmm. And here we are again today. Like, so, and Don said it in our staff meeting yesterday. Like, I really like that guy. Like he's a stand-up guy. And the more you talk about the youth, that is actually one of the number one conversations that I plan on having as a platform for our team is that, and what I learned last week is that we have invisible traumas. It's like those silent traumas that we don't deal with as children and we don't even know that they're there. And so if we could bring that awareness to children who are 8, 9, 10 years old before they're 30, 40, 50 years old, they get to heal those things way ahead of time. And so using the basketball as a platform to connect to those generations and you being able to share your story and share your experiences and maybe coach with us because we will have a development team and I plan on using our AAU part for the camps for the youth. So, I mean, he fits right in. So I'm honored for him to still be around and haven't got snatched up yet by some team, but also at the same time, we're looking for opportunities for players to move on. So if he does get picked up through our presence and he moves on, then it's just as much of a win as him being around us as well. So Marquis, I'm a fan. And so for me, my question to you is, your basketball IQ, Coach Don and I, like I said, we talked about you yesterday in the staff. It's like you play 1 through 3, like, man, and to be that tall, like, where did this IQ come from to be able to play all those different positions?
That's a great question, man. Like I said, I grew up, my stepdad. I call him dad as well. Great player, great high school player. Played Division II locally in Connecticut for a couple years. Great shooter. Then moved into coaching. And his first thing right after that went into the community. Was working at the Boys and Girls Club as a staff member for years, along with doing other things. Worked at the local YMCA for years, as well as being a high school coach at the time, coaching head coach of junior varsity basketball at the technical high school in my city. So he was like my biological dad was real big on me too. Like basketball was our thing. That was like our main. I won't say our main connection because we were very much alike to personality-wise we played, but me and my biological father, like basketball was our thing. Like it was our thing. We could talk about it for 5 hours a day. But my stepfather as well. He's the one that kind of like taught me. Like they both taught me the game, but he was a little more hands-on because he was like closer than my biological father was, in like literal distance. So he was real hands-on with my development as far as just fundamentally sound, learning the game and playing the game the right way. So I kind of always been that guy that I love good basketball. Even when I'm with my friends and we're playing pickup at the park, if it gets sloppy, I get upset and I feel, bro, this is not good basketball. I just love playing good basketball. You know what I'm saying? I just love playing good basketball. So I tell people all the time, with me, it's like I'm balanced. I don't get more of a thrill from scoring or dunking the ball than I do from making a great pass or making a great play. Like I just get the same sense from a good basketball play. So that's just my nature to just make the right basketball play. My favorite player, actually of all time, is Penny Hardaway. So that's another guy that
I see that.
I'm a sponge. So that's a guy that I watched every possible interview I could on, every possible tape, any full game. I've watched full games, him head to head against Mike. Like guys that I'm a sponge. So I like the guys that I gravitate to. Like even Bron's mentality. Like he's one of my favorite basketball players just ever. Not even like he's not personally my favorite, but just in the grand scheme of basketball, he's like one of my favorite all-time type of hoopers just because of how he really plays the game. Like he can go out there and he can shoot it every time if he really wanted to, and people would love it. And he doesn't. He goes out there and he makes the right play every time. And I can appreciate a guy who can always makes the right play. I wasn't always 6'7". Also, I didn't get tall. And I wasn't even 6'7" in high school. My senior year, I was 6'4.5", 6'5". So I always just kind of a guard-oriented type of player. My freshman year in high school, I was about 5'9", maybe.
Oh, wow.
So with the different heights, you grew into the different positions pretty much. Gotcha.
All right. That's good though.
Yeah,
That's good though.
That makes sense. I mean, that makes perfect sense. So, my last question to you is, it's not PlayStation 3 or 4 or 5 where everybody's at 99. So, what do you think your game needs to work on just to get another level of your talent? Like, what's missing?
Skill wise, I feel like I don't even know how to say this. Like skill wise, I feel like I'm very sound. I feel like there's not too many holes in my game skill wise or athletically. I feel like I'm an elite level athlete. I feel like I'm an elite level thinker of the game. I feel like my skill level is a very high level skill, especially for somebody of my size.
Let me rephrase the question real quick. So what they said about Michael Jordan, right? Real quick. What I learned about Michael Jordan was those years up until 91, we saw he didn't pass the ball, right? And he took a lot of shots. But what he did was he watched his films and he saw that he didn't trust what was missing, that he didn't trust his teammates. And so the more that he put in trust in his teammates, the more he allowed to pass the ball, and those guys' chemistry, it all stepped up. So not saying what's wrong with your game, but I heard you mention, like, if you don't see fundamental basketball being played, you get kind of upset. So like is there a mental toughness that you're looking from, or is there a trust factor, or like, so not from your skills, but more from your mindset, like what might be missing in that part of your game?
Okay, I like how you phrased that. So yeah, I feel like getting a taste of like being in a professional setting, right? I kind of feel like everybody is held accountable, right? Like from the rookie, like being me, the guy with zero experience, to the 10-year vet who's our go-to guy, to the imports that they brought in here that have NBA experience or wherever they're from. Like everybody from 1 to 15 is held accountable, right? So with that being said, it's like I don't want to say I get upset, but more so frustrated because it's like an innocent until proven guilty for me. Like I'm gonna watch the game and assess it and see what you like to do and what you don't like to do. And I'm never gonna stop you from doing what your strengths are. Like I'm not gonna do that. I'm not that guy. Like I'm that guy that's gonna encourage you to do what your strengths are, because it's gonna help us win the game. Like, you know what I mean? I'm more of a guy that we're at a point when you get to the professional level where you know what your game is. So just play your game, because if you're not playing your game, you're hurting the team. You know what I'm saying? Like this stays in who you are. Like there's nothing wrong with it, because being the best you helps us get to our goal, and that's to win. Like if you're on the team, your personnel is something that can help our team. So your strengths are what got you here. Continue to do your strengths to help us win games. You know what I mean?
I equate that to something Coach Don says about a couple other players, is that it sounds like you could be a coach on the floor as well.
Absolutely.
So giving that direction, making sure people play their role, because fundamental basketball to me is a role playing kind of basketball, where the one does what he does, the two, the three, the four, and if that's out of sync, then the chemistry is out of sync and the fundamentals get kind of messed up and out of whack. So however best you want to describe it, but it doesn't flow. And I think that by you saying what you're saying, that you could be like, hey man, don't forget, like that's your spot. So make sure you do what you need to do in that area. So I appreciate that, man. Thank you.
Yeah, and you got a lot of those.
At the end of that question, I do feel like that was a big reason for me moving back out here. Is just the resources around me. I feel like out here in LA, you can work out like no other. There's no excuse. You got all the resources. You got sand dunes. You got beaches. You got all resources. Good weather. That was a big thing for me. Was I feel like my body could use a little work. I feel like with me getting back out here and starting to get in tune with the people I need to get in tune with to kind of start getting that going. But I feel like if I can get my body in tip-top shape after being off for this many months and being where I'm at, if I can get back to being in tip-top shape and putting on a few more pounds and getting back to feeling, you know what I'm saying, like a fully in shape basketball player, like that's ready to go. I feel like that's what's going to separate me from basically anybody else that's going to be in front of me at my spot. I feel like everything else outside of that, I'm confident in me, confident in what I can bring to the team. I'm confident in my mentality to play the game the right way. And I understand, like you said, it's fundamental, but I also understand never in your life are you going to play the same basketball game twice. Like, there's never going to be a game where the series of events unfolds the same way twice. You can play a billion games, it will never happen. So I understand sometimes basketball comes for playing fundamental, but playing loose and getting out and having fun. So that's another thing too, where like you're saying, being able to be the guy to tell guys that, but also understand that sometimes you gotta let guys go. When the guy's going, you gotta let him go, and you gotta let him flow. So it's just a part of the back.
And lastly, before I let you go, I not to put your business in the street, but it is important for people to know. I know in your transition back to California now, employment, things like that. So your education background, you have a degree in?
Yeah, I am currently finishing my last 3 classes online, and I have my bachelor's in business management from the University of Antelope Valley. So basically, I'm pretty much done with the degree program. All the core classes. It's just a couple little elective classes that didn't transfer over when I finished junior college. You know how that goes. Transfer over and they don't accept certain classes and all that nonsense. So I had to retake some classes that electives that they do have at school. But as far as the core classes for the business side of it, I'm pretty much ready for any type of employment in that field or any type of employment period. Like I said, man, being out here, it's not. We all know it isn't cheap. You know what I'm saying? I didn't come here. You got to be a realist about it. Like real is real. You know what I'm saying? Like it ain't cheap out here, and you can't be out here not generating any income while spending some because you're constantly spending no matter what. It's just part of the lifestyle. Like you know what I'm saying? So with that being said, I understand that, and I'm just trying to stay on top of myself. Like I said, one goal at a time, and I'm chipping away at it. But that is definitely one of my immediate goals right now.
Cool, man. Thank you.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see, like we talked about earlier, your passion and your determination put together are going to get you that job that you're looking for. And until then, you know, eventually you're going to be on the court again. You're going to be killing it on the court. And then, but until then, you know, something's going to come. You know, we've talked during this, you know, last week and a half, you know, and I tried to help you out. And we got a couple other people that have been looking around for you as well. Something's going to come your way, I promise. George, you had something. You haven't talked this whole time, bro. Get in. Let's do this. What you got?
Yeah, so my question to you, Marquis, since you're a 6'7" guard, I'm not sure which guard you play. I'm assuming you play both guard positions. So my question is, like, in terms of guards, either shooting guard or point guard, who's on your Mount Rushmore in any era?
I like that's a great question. You said either. I'm gonna give you. So no, I can't.
Because I know you mentioned one of them just 5 minutes ago, but yeah.
So my point guard, my Mount Rushmore, it's gonna be Penny Hardaway.
All right.
Magic Johnson.
Okay.
Isaiah Thomas.
Isaiah.
Okay. Zeke.
Isaiah Thomas. Man, this is tough.
Any era, bro.
Yeah.
No, that's why. That's what I'm such a junkie. That's why I'm like I'm seeing so many point guards flying on my face. Wow. So I'm that. I've got to put Steph in there. He's the best shooting point guard of all time. I have to. He's 2-time unanimous MVP. I got to put. He earned his spot on that point guard Mount Rushmore. Steph Curry. And man, my fifth one. This is super tough. I want to be biased, but I can't put Westbrook on there. But I want to put Westbrook on there because he's done something at the point guard position that we're never going to see again. 3 straight seasons, triple doubles. Like you're never going to see a point guard do that ever again. I don't think in a row. So he solidified himself. So that's my 5 right there. Steph, Russ, Magic, Penny, and Isaiah Thomas.
There you go.
Okay, those are your 5 point
Pretty
guards.
good to me.
Yeah. Shooting guard, Kobe.
All right.
Iverson. Kobe Iverson. Wow. This is very tough.
What about T-Mac?
Yeah, I gotta put T-Mac in there. I feel like talent-wise, he matches Kobe. Of course, Jordan. Why am I tweaking like Jordan's not a 2 guard? So we got. I'm sorry. Let me. That's disrespectful. Jordan, Kobe, Iverson, T-Mac, Harden.
Nice.
Like it.
Yeah.
I like it. Well, I'll piggyback off of that really quick, and then George, I'll let you jump back in. So we're talking about your favorite guards of all time. What would your dream, or who would your dream opponent be? If you had to play a one-on-one against any NBA player of any era, who would it be and why?
Like he's not even my favorite, but you ask like me. This is me the competitive talking. I love to compete. I gotta go Kobe.
Okay.
Oh shoot.
I gotta go Kobe.
You just
Because
made
I know that other NBA stars, they might try to act like they're not playing hard for a little bit, or you know what I'm saying? Nah, Kobe's gonna if Kobe's in the line, I know the Kobe that's in front of me, like whatever I do on him, it's legitimate because Kobe's not giving me anything. So I'm going Kobe.
That's cool. I don't want to make you jealous or anything, but the doc has got to play with Kobe before. What was that like?
Oh, wow.
What can you tell him? He's already jealous. Look at him.
Yes, I was I was very blessed to be able to play one-on-one with Kobe for 2 weeks, and no, he does not give you anything. At that time, I was an amazing three-point shooter, shoot from like 5 to 10 feet behind the arc, and I scored a couple of points on him each time that we played. But whenever I scored, he would just go harder. Like he would dunk on me. He didn't care. His knee would be in my eyes. You know, like he didn't care. He scratched me. He didn't care. He did not give you anything free. That's for sure.
That's awesome.
That's exactly why I would have been coach.
There you go. I like it.
I mean, that's where that Mamba mentality comes from. It's like, no matter who Kobe plays against, he's just gonna play the same way. He doesn't care if you're a lower tier basketball player, a higher tier basketball player. Like that's who he is. Like he just wants to win, you know, and that's who he is. Like he wants to win at all costs.
Mhm.
I'm kind of that way too, but like I'm more like a team oriented guy. So yeah, it's not about me, it's about you. But yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah. You got anything?
And Marquis,
Go ahead, Jay. Go ahead.
I don't think we asked you this last time, but I want to ask you another 2 questions. What team you rock with, man? Like, who's your team?
I'm a Thunder fan, man. I'm a Thunder fan.
Thunder fan?
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
was the first guy I ever called my favorite player. I just loved everything about KD. Being a skinny kid, the skinny tall kid, that's a guard, you know, that just fit my. I loved the whole. I fell in love with it right away, day one, etc. So that was my. And I was always the guy that like, oh, I'm never gonna team hop. Like once I decide I like the team, that's my team, and that's just who I'm gonna do. I'm not a fan of just the player. Now I'm a fan of the team. I'm part of that culture. Like I take that kind of stuff. I don't want to say serious, but like in sports, it's kind of like unwritten rules, and like the team hopper just gets no respect in the sports world. Like your opinion is no longer, you know what I mean? Like to the people in sports, like the fans, like you're a team hopper, you're less credible automatically. So I always took pride in not being a team hopper. So I was a Thunder fan. That's the first team I ever liked in the NBA. Still a Thunder fan. Shout out to Sam Presti, best GM in the game. Lost KD, still in missed the playoffs. So we are.
I'm just gonna say this: if the Thunder never traded James Harden, they would have won the championship already, man. If they would have bro, they would have been a championship team already, man.
So jumping off GA's question. So even though KD went to the Warriors, do you still rock with them even though he's a Warriors? If he's a team of the Warriors. Well, now he's currently in Brooklyn, but at that time, like when he got traded to the Warriors, what was like? I just wanted to know, like, did you still rock with them? And what was your reaction when he got when he signed with the Warriors? At that moment,
being the stand-up guy that I am, it was just I lost a lot of respect, man. Like you can't, as a competitor, if I'm up 3-1 in a series and I lose that series, and in the game 7 in particular, I go 5 for 20 in the first half, and we lose to that team, the competitor in me is just no way I can go put on the same jersey as them right after they just beat me when I should have beat them. I can't do that. I just can't. When I know my team was obviously a better team, like if you're up 3-1 on a team, you're playing better basketball than the team. You lost that series. Like they didn't beat you. You lost, especially in Game 7 for how bad he played. So I lost a lot of respect for him, for the fact that it wasn't like they 4-0 sweep us and it wasn't even a competition and they were just a better team, so it made sense. Like, no, we were playing better basketball. We were the better team. We had the better players. Kevin Durant was the key to that. Like, as long as we had Kevin Durant, the Warriors, we were going to be able to beat the Warriors in any series. You know what I mean? So the fact that we lost to that series and he was a part of that Game 7 meltdown, and then he went and joined them, I just can't respect it. It's always going to be
Yeah, I actually agree with you because the reason why I asked that was because I had many conversations with friends about this whole situation. I actually agree with you because, like, when I saw that he went to the Warriors, I'm like, what the heck is he doing? Like, I was like, this dude just made the weakest move in competitive mankind history. Weak. I don't care what people say. That was like a weak decision for many reasons that you just mentioned. Like, number one, like you had a 3-1 lead. You're supposed to finish them up, right? But then, like, yeah, like you said, they lost that series. But what kind of competitor goes to a team that you lost to, and then not to mention you went to a team that's fully stacked, which is the favorites of the whole NBA, knowing that they're the best team in the NBA, and then like saying that, oh, like this was like, and then like he even said like 2 weeks ago, saying, I think it was a week or 2 weeks ago, saying like, oh, like winning those 2 rings is the hardest what's the hardest thing I ever done. Like, no, it's not. No, you went to a team that's fully stacked that won 72 games right before you joined, and you joined that team. It wasn't easy. It wasn't hard at all. Like, you just made that decision. I respect the decision as an NBA player that you make it because you have the right to. But as a competitor, I'll never ever do that. Never. So I ridiculed Kevin Durant all over Facebook. You can even look up all my posts. Like, KD made the weakest move in NBA mankind history. And Warriors fans really hate me for saying that, but I'm just speaking cold hard facts. So, like, from that point on, like you said, I lost so much respect for KD. Yes, he's a good player. Yes, he's like a talented player, but come on now. If you're trying to win rings, like, try to win rings with the team that you got, like the Thunder. He could have went to like another team. He could have went to the Spurs. He could have went to like these other teams, but the Warriors, man, come on now. Everyone knew that you guys were an unbeatable team when you add yourself to that Warriors organization, because like, there's no reason why I should watch basketball if I know what's going to be the outcome of that series. Like, I'm going to be really honest with you. I only watched game 1 of the Cavs and Warriors finals in 2018. After that, like, when they lost, I was like, okay, that's going to be a sweep. There's no reason why I should watch that game anymore.
And ladies and gentlemen, the new George. Dude,
George,
we're just in for 23 shows, man.
It was hella
I've
weak.
never seen you like this before. This is great.
Welcome, George.
Nah, man, like, I just had to let it out.
George, but that's an example on how the eras are now, or how the eras are different from.
Yeah, but I understand that. But then, like, if you're trying to be like the competitor, like the Jordans, the Kobes, like, they never joined a super team.
Right.
Never. They worked so hard to get to that point. Okay, like, people say like, oh, LeBron did the same thing. Like, no, he didn't, because like without LeBron, the Heat were like a second, like a third. They will be third in the East because the Celtics were good that year because they had Paul Pierce, Ray Allen, Rajon Rondo, KG. So like, clearly they were the best team. Clearly they're one of the best top 2 teams, and then you have Cleveland, which you have LeBron. But then, like, when LeBron joined that Heat team, like, okay, like, they were a great team, but it wasn't. They weren't as good as the Warriors were when KD joined that team.
All right. Well, this took a twist. All right. Well, I love this. I think this is awesome, but we're already at the top of the hour. So we're going to go around and do our square to square. Marquis, we go square to square, give you our final questions. I'm going to go first. I've had this one on my head since you started talking about coaching. If you had one message, just one message that could relate to basketball and life that you could tell your younger kids, what would it be and why?
I probably would, like you said, the quote, do what you love and love what you do. Priceless. As long as you have it, they can't take it from you. There's many things in this world that circumstance and situation can take from you. But one thing it can't take from you is that love and joy you have from within. So as long as you love what you do and you're enjoying it, don't let anybody else tell you otherwise. And continue down that path as long as you feel like it's a positive one. Continue down it and continue to love it, because
Absolutely. Don't let anything stop you. Yep. Whether it's moving from an East Coast to West Coast, or playing for a whole new team, or going up to the higher level. That's an awesome answer. Thank you so much. We'll go to Mr. Passion next. Go ahead, George.
All right, Marquis. So you're a ball player, right? So out of your whole life up to this point, like, what's your favorite basketball movie to watch and why?
favorite basketball movie to watch. Wow.
Don't say
There's so many out there.
There's way too many, and there's one that's coming out pretty soon.
We're not talking about
I'm gonna have to say Glory Road. Glory Road.
Oh, I love that movie. I actually watched that one a month ago, so it was a pretty dope movie.
Too much significance in that, man. That's too much factual significance in that. Especially being a man of color. Just that movie just holds too much significance. And the actor who played Don Haskins. It was just a great film. Probably my favorite to talk about it.
really good. Okay, with as mental as you're very neuro, I think that's awesome, and I really want to hear your answer on this. Everybody knows where I'm about to go. Space Jam 2 is about to come out. What do you think about Space Jam 2 coming out? LeBron obviously being the headliner, and I know a couple other big names are in there. How do you feel, being the age that you are, you saw the original Space Jam. How do you feel with this one coming out?
I know people in our age who probably aren't going to be too fond of it because nothing will ever be better than that's like some projects, some things, they just shouldn't be touched. I get it, right? I get it. But with that being said, the generation below us, they don't know who Michael Jordan is. Their Michael Jordan is LeBron James. So, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's very fitting for the times that we're in. I do feel like it's probably necessary for their kids. He's their Michael Jordan. LeBron is they're gonna love seeing Looney Tunes with LeBron James. Like, we may not love it because we understood like the original MJ, the original Looney Tunes. Like, that's our era. But for this era, I feel like a movie like that is needed because Space Jam was needed for our era and pushing the growth and love of basketball in the youth. So I think we need a positive image to show that, and I think Space Jam 2 with LeBron can do that.
I love that answer.
Wow, I know, right? I'm like, I love the way that you put that. I never thought of it that way. I always thought we've always been like, oh, Kobe should have been next. Kobe should have been next. That's what we all say. But when you put it that way, that makes a lot of sense. So, G, you jumped in. You're next. You know what? I'm going to end with you today. I'm in with you in a while. Coach, go ahead.
So, yeah, not really any questions, but getting to know Marquis the last couple of months here and there, texting, just getting updates on where he's at, and he hit me up when he came back. I personally never seen him play live. Ferran has, I've gone based off of Ferran and Americas, what they told me about him in highlights. But I liked his game based off the highlights and what they said, but I like him as a better person since I've gotten to know him. Especially recently, we talked a lot more. And what irritates me the most about coaches and coaching in all sports is that it seems like, especially with Marquis and a lot of other players, is that he hasn't been allowed to play the best that he could play and put in the best situations that could thrive. And as a coach, your main job, is to win, of course, but is to put your players in the best place that they could succeed, use their strengths. And based on all the talks that me and Marquis have had, is he's never had that opportunity, or not consistently at least. And that's one thing that, if anybody that knows me, that's what that's the only way to win, is to put guys in the best, use their greatest strengths and put guys in the best way that they could succeed, because then if they succeed, the team succeeds. And, but that being said, Marquis is willing to do whatever it takes to win too. So there's a time and a place where he'll play a 1, he'll play a 2, he'll play a 3. He may play a 5 depending on what lineup he plays. So he's willing to do that. The only thing I've told him this, and he just needs to work on his strength, which he mentioned. Physical strength. Skinny guys are going to be skinny guys regardless. But you could be a lot stronger skinny guy. Ferran, you're not skinny. Get out of here.
Damn, burn! The first burn of the day. There it is.
But there's always you could always get stronger in all aspects. So Marquis is going to be a great guy. I could see him never playing for the Orcas, because that means he has an opportunity, like I told you with Drew, and that'd be amazing. But if he's here, he always got a spot with us, and he's going to have a great future beyond the playing days. I think even more so. Like, his legacy is going to be more that way than what he did on the court. It's going to be what he teaches the next generation. So I'm looking forward to that selfishly. So, no questions, just that comments.
How do you feel about hearing that, Marquis?
Man, very refreshing. First and foremost, which I want to appreciate you just for taking the time out to get to know me as a person and just hearing me out and listening to me as a player. That showed me a lot in itself before you even coached me in the game, was that you took the time out of your day to sit down and exchange text messages or how, communicate with me just in general. And you were very receptive, and you also bounced off things about you. So it was just great to kind of interact with a coach in that way. Hasn't happened for me in a while. So I'm real appreciative of somebody actually taking the time out to just get to know Marquis the person and actually pick at his basketball brain. Because a lot of coaches, they do it and they ask you like how you want to play and what your strengths are, but it's usually just talk. But the coach, he kind of right away, pointed that out, like asked me about my game and pointed out that he loves to let guys play, and was also straightforward, like you said, where there's gonna be times you play the 1, 2, 3, but we might go all 5 guards. You never know. We might get 5. And I can respect that because I'm a stand-up guy as well. So just want to say, Coach, I appreciate it and look forward to getting to work and playing for you.
Yeah, we're looking forward to seeing you in both aspects. Like Ferran's talked about in the past, we have a lot of community things coming up. Like we've done the Pillow Drive already. There's a lot of other stuff coming up. And I think you'll be one of the ideal candidates to do something like that. So I'm looking forward to that. And I'm definitely looking forward to seeing you on the court, man. I never got to see you play either. So from what I've heard, it's going to be pretty sick. So I'm ready. I hope you're ready. Ferran, go for it, bro.
Marquis, I've heard all your conversation, man, but I haven't heard you mention anything about your mom. What's
You said my mom?
Yeah. Most players like, oh, shouts out to my mom. A lot of good dads don't get a lot of credit usually at certain levels. So you haven't expressed anything about your mom. What's going on there?
My best friend in the world, man. My best friend. I'm an only boy, so I got mama's boys tendencies, like only boys do. You know what I'm saying? That's my best friend. Since my biological father passed, me and him was like real close, and my mom was like right there. But then after he passed, it kind of like, if there was any, I don't even think there was any, if there was any little bit of separation, like it was just non-existent. Like I could call her for anything in the world, no matter what the situation is. I give all the most. She did it for me, like my hero. That's one of my heroes. Like as a person, my loving nature, my give the shirt off your back mentality. I get that from my mom. Sweetest, nicest soul you'll ever meet. Always happy. Always want to smile, laugh. Just a great person. I tell her all the time I wouldn't trade her as a person or a mother for anybody in the world. She was just perfect for us as far as making the environment we grew up in as good as it could possibly be with what we had. So it's all my respect in the world, my best friend.
Shout out to moms. We're getting talking about a mom. Let's go to our mom on the panel here. Go ahead, Doc. It's only fitting.
I'm not old enough to be your mom, but
I didn't say that. I said you are a mom.
That's awesome. That's beautiful. That touched me a lot that you said that, that as moms, I think that's what we hope that personally, like my legacy would be that my kids grew up feeling nurtured and healthy and happy, and that's the biggest thing. So it's tough, like even if you're in a situation where you're doing it on your own and you got to be the disciplinarian and the nurturer at the same time, like sometimes it gets a little wavy there, but it's good. I wanted to ask you actually, because speaking about your basketball IQ, one of the players that to me has a really great basketball IQ is Rondo, and I wanted to know like what you think about his game, and why do you think he's not more celebrated? Like he was so instrumental in the championship, and it was night and day when he was in and when he wasn't in with the last Lakers championship, and it was like he was not even given any props whatsoever. So to me that was kind of a burn, and I thought that was poor like sportsmanship on the part of the Lakers and part of LeBron and AD, like did not mention him because he was instrumental in that and saved their butts many times. What do you think about his game, and why do you think he's not more celebrated?
That's great that you point that out, because knowing the type of guys that Bron and AD are, they celebrate kind of everyone. Everybody kind of show everybody a little love, and it was. I always personally felt like Rondo just was a very interpersonal guy. I felt like that was the dynamic he brought to a championship team, was his business-like approach towards the game. Rondo is all about he's straight to it, and you have to respect it because he's one of the best minds in basketball. Period. Like people say, like on that Lakers team, he rivals LeBron's basketball. Like he can compete with LeBron mentally as far as how he sees the game, being a step ahead, all of that. And LeBron loves that aspect as well, that he has somebody that has cerebral with him on the floor. So I think during the season, LeBron kind of was a little vocal about how much he loved having Rondo and having another guy out there that can handle the full-time playmaking duties, not just him. But I personally feel like Rondo, maybe, I don't want to say he didn't want to be celebrated, but I felt like with Rondo, that's what it wasn't about. It was just proving to everybody that he could still play at an extremely high championship level, and he was a championship point guard. And we all know the NBA is a business, and Rondo has been bouncing around a lot lately, and it's clear with the way he just played in the finals that Rondo should be somebody's starting point guard, and it should have been for the last couple seasons. So I think that's the chip he carried on his shoulder. I don't really care about the celebrations. I don't really care about that. Like, mission accomplished. This is my goal: to come here, win a championship, and regain that title of being a championship point guard. And that's what he did. And I think now he's going to reap the benefits from it. Next situation, whether that be with the Lakers or with another team, he's going to get paid a great dollar, and he's going to get the ability to put himself in a situation that he likes, that he's going to like moving forward as far as being a competitor and competing, because you know Rondo wants to compete for championships as long as he's playing.
Awesome. Thanks for that. I wanted to get that more logical analysis, because on that spectrum, I'm definitely more towards the emotional side. So.
I like his responses. I like the logical response, because we haven't got that a lot in a lot of our guests lately. So I think that's a good balance. I love that. All right, let's go from someone who really doesn't think logical. Usually he always thinks with his heart. G, close us out, bro.
Yeah, Marquis. So on behalf on the Oxnard Allgrass Media team, just wanted to thank you for coming on to the show today. My last question to you: when it's all said and done, man, what do you want to leave behind? What do you want to leave on your legacy, man?
I want to leave a better impact on the world. I want to leave it better than when I came into it. I want to be somebody that is a part of the change. And it starts with changing. It starts with like I said, with the kids, really, man. I want to be a part of that cultural shift. I want to be remembered as the guy that seen what this next generation and these next kids could do for people that come after me, man. I want to be known as somebody that was all about positive and growth and the change, bro. So that's my biggest thing, is leaving here just better than I came, man. I want my legacy to be great in that respect. I want people to respect me that way. Like this dude did a lot for everybody. He treated everybody the same. He treated everybody fairly. Gave everybody a fair shot at everything. And he always wanted people to reach their max potential and be the best they could be. So that's the kind of guy I want to be, the one that just spread love. You know what I'm saying? Spread love, knowledge, positivity. Be the light in the world that doesn't have too much light. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of darkness. I just want to be a little ray of light for people if I can be.
Definitely. And if you continue to carry yourself like that, you will. Thank you, Marquis, for coming on to the show today. Appreciate it, man.
Absolutely.
You guys know.
Dude, Marquis, absolutely. You will be the first and only person I've ever said this to on our show, but you make me analyze myself. Like, how can I make myself better? Like, I need to be, I always think, well, I'm like, gee, I always think with my heart and I just go for it, you know? I think I need to analyze some things a little more now and try to balance that out. So thank you so much for that. I appreciate that.
No problem, man. Seriously.
Yeah. And again, dude, thank you so much. Another thing I noticed, I wasn't gonna say anything, but I'm a passionate guy. I noticed the first time we talked to you, you were a little more skittish. You were a little more quiet. We didn't see your face. Is another reason that we didn't feel the emotion. I felt a lot of emotion today. I felt that you were in a good place. I felt that you were more positive. I felt that you were more comfortable. It could have been the pandemic that was just starting, or the fact that you were back east, you know, thinking about what was coming up. I just want to say I'm proud of you of the progress you've made and the progress you're gonna make, because it's coming, bro.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that a lot.
Absolutely,
like you
man.
said, man, I'm just happy with the place I'm in. I want to continue to grow. So I figured it out. So I'm just happy to be where I'm at. And I'm just looking forward to continuously getting better and better. You know what I mean? And thank you. I appreciate that, bro.
Yeah, and the cool thing is that you want to give it to others, which I think is amazing. So again, we're a little over on time, but I don't care because we really got to know this awesome guy right here, both as a ball player, both as an awesome person. So Marquis, again, thank you. This was Dubl Drbl, episode number 23 from coast to coast. You guys caught that throughout the show. Good job. We're going to be off next week. I want you to have fun with your family. I know you might not be able to trick or treat. You can make your own trick or treat, have a little Halloween thing, have a good time. I'll be doing the radio thing, but you guys have a great time with your kids, your family. We'll be back in 2 weeks on the 7th. We got a new guy coming in, Mike Taylor. So from what Coach says, he's going to be a lot of fun. So we'll get to see how that is. On behalf of myself, Double R Ricky Rodriguez, I want to thank you so much. We got George, we got GA, we got the Doc, we got Ferran, we got Coach, and of course, we got Mr. Coast to Coast down there, Marquis Rivera. Thank you so much, and we'll check you in 2 weeks. Go Orcas.
Go Orcas, man. Orca Nation.